Hey everybody! Now for today's scary story, I'm going to talk about the Sea of Trees, which is also known as Suicide Forest in Japan. The Suicide Forest is actually located just underneath near the base of Mount Fuji. From an aerial view, it's beautiful. The mountain is spectacular, the trees look lush and green. I mean, everything is beautiful. That's why they call it the Sea of Trees. But as soon as you step foot inside of the Sea of Trees, you kind of get a sense that something is a little dark and a little slightly off. The density of the closely packed trees blocks the sun and the wind, so there is really no sound. It is basically completely silent. There's also a curious lack of wildlife. The sounds of birds and other wildlife that one might expect to hear, like chirping and chattering, it's basically absent. Some have described the quality of the sound as somewhat muted, as if being heard through a thick veil or from another room. One thing that you will notice is compasses, they don't work here. Many hikers that venture into this forest, even experienced ones, will admit that it is oddly easy to get lost. Because it is so dark and quiet, it can get confusing and very easy to lose track of where you're going. It has even been difficult for some to navigate short distances. This has led a lot of visitors to leave markers, basic breadcrumbs, so lots of stakes and tape to mark your path so you know how to get back. While venturing into this forest, you may come across some very bizarre and rather creepy litter. You may find pairs of shoes, both adult and children. You may also find photographs, notes, handwritten notes, song lyrics. Many tourists still come to venture into this forest basically based on the scenery because it's beautiful. It's very intriguing, and the numerous rock caverns that are throughout the entire forest. A lot of these caverns are very dangerous, and the forest is so thick that even if there was a warning sign posted, you wouldn't be able to see it, but many people still brave enough to go and see them. Even though a few of these elements seem to be slightly off or maybe a little disturbing, it gets worse. The reason that the Sea of Trees is also called Suicide Forest is because a lot of locals say this is where a lot of people go to die. It is said that this is the most popular place to go commit suicide in Japan, and the second in the world after the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. Since at least the 1950s, the forest has attracted ever-growing numbers of people who come to the solitude here for their final breaths, with 2003 seeing a record number of 108 suicides. These are only the bodies that are found by monthly patrols and annual body hunts in which police and volunteers scour the forest for victims. It is said that the number is likely even higher due to the remoteness of all the dark areas within the forest, the numerous caves, crevices, and caverns, and the forest's ability to quickly and thoroughly decompose remains. Some of the bodies of these victims are actually stumbled across by visitors to the area. Sadly, the only thing that is known for sure is every year the suicide count increases. The locals in the area actually can spot the three types of visitors that come to this location. You have the hikers interested in seeing the stunning Mount Fuji, curious thrill seekers hoping for a glimpse of the dead, and finally those who don't plan on returning. There are signs posted everywhere for suicide hotlines and help and just warnings to not end your life, and there's also security cameras in certain spots that will warn police and have people come and patrol and possibly save somebody from committing suicide. Even with all of these signs and all these precautions and, trying to stop and put an end to this, it is said that at least 100 people a year end their life here. Some even say that those who are contemplating suicide are often drawn to this forest by some sort of supernatural force. For the longest time, locals were convinced that the forest was basically haunted by demons and ghosts. It is also believed that this location was also a popular place for the gruesome practice of which elderly relatives, anyone sick, was basically dumped and abandoned here to die. It is also said that a lot of the ghosts and spirits that reside here are of those who were left here to basically just die. They also say that those who commit suicide in this forest, they're forever trapped in this location. I also read somewhere, and I'm not entirely sure if it's accuracy, but I read that when these scouts, who are mostly volunteers that go through the forest to look for the remains of these victims, that when they do find them, they bring them back, and in tradition, one person has to stay with the body overnight. And of course, there are plenty of photographs of the victims that have been found and also of the litter and artifacts that have been left behind. Out of respect, I am not going to post these photographs in this video, but you can totally look them up in Google, you can look them up in Tumblr, I mean, you can pretty much find them anywhere. There's many, 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 many photos. And also look them up by this word. This is what the forest is called, however, I can't pronounce it, but this is why it's also known as the Sea of Trees and the Suicide Forest. But type this into your search bar if you really want to see these photos, but I will warn you, I cannot warn you enough that they are graphic, they're pretty disturbing, and I think it's very, very sad. Also, if you look up the name of the forest into YouTube, you can also type in Suicide Forest or Sea of Trees, and there's a couple documentaries on YouTube that you can watch about it, and they're unsettling but very interesting. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this scary story. Comment down below and let me know what you think, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!